Welcome to a new episode of the Game Time Gents podcast. We're on episode 17. I'm one of your co-hosts, Nardi, and I am here with Fish and Zoltowski.
Hello.
Hey.
And this week, just like any other week, we're going to start by going into the previous week of the NFL, going over our fantasy heroes and our fantasy zeros. We're going to preview week 14 of the NFL with our weekly game pick, our fantasy football start of the week. And as always, we're going to close out this episode with a draft. The draft this week is going to be our favorite musical artists. So before we get into any of these topics, I do have a disclaimer. The Browns are playing Monday Night Football. I'm going to be doing the best I can to be a good co-host here and focus on the task at hand. But
I mean, we all get one
10-7. So
I remember when the Lions, like week one, when they played, no, it wasn't week one, but when they played the Seahawks.
Early weeks, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like locked on that game because it was Jared Goff's perfect game, and it was fantastic, and I was loving it.
Yeah, you were pretty hyped, but absolutely. So, gonna do my best to keep on task here, keep on the task at hand. But before we get into any of these topics, boys, do you guys have any life updates you'd like to talk about, or any pieces of news?
I mean, we're going to get the tree this coming weekend. Couldn't be more excited. We're going to get one for our place, Andy and I's, and then one for the parents' place too. So that should be fun. Nothing like sister and father just kicking copious amounts of snow, mud, and dirt in my eyes while I try to cut this tree with a handsaw. So that should be a good time. It always is. So
this is the second week in a row we've heard this.
It is, but I'm here for it every time because now he's got to do it twice.
Is there? Wait, what?
Yeah, you said the exact same thing last week, like word for word. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Kicking the snow in your face, and then I asked if you can use a chainsaw. You said it's a saw cut.
Right. Yeah, no, because it's like a Vietnam flashback for me. So it's,
I get it.
For it. And it's something we look forward to every year. So.
Can I get a recording of this, please?
I'm sure C will be filming it, or Andy will. One of the two. While they also kick snow in my eyes. So
I'll ask Andy to film it. Or I'll have Liz do it.
Yeah, okay. Wait, what? Yeah, definitely have Liz shit it to her. She'll respond quicker for sure.
Yeah.
That's the only life update I got, just the tree. I'm sure I'll talk about it next week too, so tune in.
Now, are you going to try and one-up your dad and get a slightly bigger tree than the tree he has, or?
I may, but then I realize that I don't want to lug the extra few inches up the stairs and into the place, so I'm 100% opting in for one of those little small Charlie Brown trees, or we get like a medium-sized tree. So
just get a branch.
Well, I want to get the Seinfeld, the steel rod.
The Festivus pole?
Yep, exactly what I want to get.
I got a lot of problems with you people.
So that'll go up in the office, but
that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I'll send you guys videos and stuff, and it'll be a good time. I'll be caked with mud, so hopefully it doesn't rain or snow or do any crazy stuff. So
it's probably just gonna be really cold.
Yeah, it always is.
So cold.
You could always just put up your stripper pole.
You know, it's funny thing you said. I found my stilettos in an IKEA bag. They're just buried back. I usually bring those out Thursday. So
family friendly, by the way.
I don't know. I mean, what, the stripper pole? The stilettos.
Sorry, exotic dancer pole. Does that make it better?
Or the absolute visual of this unit in like 6-inch heels.
This might get cut out. I don't know. Zoltowski, any life updates?
No, nothing. We had our Friendsgiving this past weekend, which was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Got to hang out with you guys, watch some football, watch the Eagles win.
Eagles!
Ate copious amounts of food, most of it smothered with cheese.
A lot of that punch, too. I'll tell you what, that Dalton made a great punch.
Hey, get the recipe from him. The non-alcoholic one was also really, really good.
There was an option? I didn't know there was an option.
Yeah, the cranberry one, which I'm a huge fan of cranberries. So, no, it was a lot of fun. It's always good to hang out with you guys in person. I'm pretty sure we've got more plans throughout the month, which will be even more fun, even though some of them are outside and it's freezing outside and I hate it here in Ohio. But that's all I got.
Yeah, as far as life updates go, I don't really have anything. We're going to
Janus,
decorate my dad's house this weekend for Christmas. So that's what we're going to do on Saturday. But other than that, we do have some football news, some college football news.
Go Blue.
There was a lot of fights on Saturday. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah, a lot of it.
Yeah, there was.
Starting off with the Ohio State and the Michigan fight. I mean, Zoltowski, me as an Ohio State fan, you as a Michigan fan, we've talked about this already. Both teams were in the wrong. There's
100%.
no way that should ever happen after a game. Now, do I think Michigan was a little unoriginal with the flag plant? Yes. But
Ohio State is a bunch of crybabies still. Sore losers.
It's a case of sore losers and sore winners on the same field.
I mean, it was unoriginal, I'll give you that. But like then NC State tried to do it, which started the NC State UNC fight. Florida tried to do it, which then started the FSU Florida fight. And then Arizona State planted their pitchfork, which started the... I don't think there was like a full-fledged fight. I think they were just like fighting over the pitchfork, but like it looked like... And then there was obviously Notre Dame USC, where that tackle just turns around and cold cocks that USC player in the face mask and does not get caught, which was wild.
I saw that. He really...
I mean, he just unloaded... And one... You're punching him in the face mask. Like,
you're hurting yourself.
I mean, I get it. Emotions are on a high. It's rivalry week. Most of it's called hate week.
Right.
But yeah, it was a wild rivalry week this week. I think there was
surprised.
Also a tussle in the BYU game. The Mormons were getting into it.
The Mormons got into it. That's crazy.
I think so.
A lot of pent up anger there. No, the surprising thing for me is the Ohio State and the Michigan game. No suspensions have come out for any players, and they have announced that they're not going to place any suspensions out. Now, both athletic departments did get fined $100,000, which is a small drop in the ocean for them. But I mean, optically, it looks good. And then Kirk Herbstreit actually came out with a quote on Twitter that says, "I think any conference commissioner who had team or teams involved in post-game fights owes it to his conference and the sport of college football to study the film closely, sit anyone who was involved in being an aggressor to help escalate the situation, sit those involved for their next game, whether it's a bowl game, a playoff game. These dudes need consequences for their own good." And as good as that sounds, I just don't think that anyone's going to sit anyone.
They're not. No. But
the games mean too much now that they just don't care.
I mean, maybe after, I guess for Ohio State, and it's not throwing shots. They've got a good couple weeks before they'll play their playoff game. Make them run gassers until they puke. Just physically punish. Not like beat them, but like make them work. Michigan, same thing. I don't know.
Can they find NIL players?
I'm not sure. With how the NIL works, I think it's definitely that the brands could pull out, saying this looks bad on us. That you're representing our organization, but you're acting like this. It's unacceptable. So
like sponsors and stuff.
Yeah, like the people they sign the deals with. The $20 million roster you guys have. I'm sorry, I didn't get my shots in. I have to.
What do you mean?
I didn't pick on you for it because I totally thought, and I said it earlier. I've said it multiple times on the pod that Michigan has not been good this year. This is probably the worst Michigan team in a decade, and I was fully expecting to lose that game on Saturday. I put it on because we were in the car.
It to happen as well.
I thought you were 20-point favorites. I thought it was going to be a 3-score game. I mean, why they didn't throw the ball, we'll never know. Why they tried to run it up the middle, and when you guys have had struggles with the injuries on your offensive line, I don't know. Kyle McCord looked pretty good though. Maybe you should have kept him around.
Kicker can't make a kick. That's a whole other topic though.
Okay,
Kickers are
one thing on that, I did see a tweet from someone because it was posted, like how they take the picture of the person and they post the tweet next to it. They want to investigate him. They want to pull his call logs and his text logs because those were chip shots and he's never missed those before. And they think that it's collusion and that Michigan cheated again. I'm like, you guys are reaching at this point.
They think that Ohio State's kicker was colluding with Michigan?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't see any of that. That's.
I'll see if I can find it. Oh, it gave me a good laugh on lunch at work. It's wild. Just like, take the loss, man. Like you guys, your scheme didn't work. Your script didn't work. And to me, you look at it. Michigan had the Ohio State game and then a bowl game because they became bowl eligible with the Northwestern win.
Right.
That is their national champ. This game last week, that was their national championship. The seniors that are out there, they're going to lay everything out on the line. That whole team. I mean, what's left in the season? Beating Ohio State, winning the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Ohio State was like, oh yeah, no, we're bigger, we're badder, we're better. We're just going to come in there and walk all over them. Yeah. And they just didn't come to play.
Yeah, Ryan Day needs to be fired. For sure. But other than the college football fight topic, the only topic I had in terms of news was we have our last Bipocalypse coming next week, week 14. The following teams are on bye week that week: Baltimore Ravens, Denver Broncos, Houston Texans, Indianapolis Colts, New England Patriots, and Washington Commanders. So, with the Texans, the Commanders, the Ravens, and even the Broncos and Colts, there's a lot of fantasy implications there. So watch your waiver wires, plan accordingly. If you have players that are going to be missing next week, then, we're getting late into the season. You might not be able to just drop a game due to bye weeks this week.
Trade deadlines are also coming up too. So if you got any last minute trades you want to get out there, especially
trade deadlines are either coming up or they've already passed. So
yeah. So if you're in a dynasty league, you want to go after someone on the IR, you never know.
That's the only two big things I had for news, but let's get into our week 13 review. Did have a couple fun things to talk about for week 13. Danny Dimes did get signed to the Vikings practice squad. And I personally think he's going to get promoted by the time the regular season's over to backup quarterback, backing up Sam Darnold. What do you guys think? Do you think Daniel Jones is going to eventually be placed on the active roster? Their current backup quarterback is Nick Mullins.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Nick Mullins has never been... I honestly forgot he was even in the league still. I mean, with the way that Sam Darnold's been playing lately, now he did do fairly well last game, but the last 4 or 5 weeks he's kind of struggled. Back to the old Sam Darnold way. I think it could be just a good safety precaution just in case something happens. You know how quickly people go down with injuries. CMC just got hurt again, only being back a few weeks. So I think Minnesota's at a prime opportunity to obviously make the playoffs. Their team is young and they're good. They don't want to ruin their opportunities having something happen to Darnold and then their next man up to throw to Jay Jettas is Nick Mullins.
Right.
Not saying Daniel Jones is, Tom Brady, but is an upgrade over Nick Mullins. So definitely a safety blanket there just in case, forecasting for possibly any injury or anything like that, or Sam Darnold really regresses that badly. Or maybe they do, once they clinch their division, maybe they do kind of take the starters out. Zoltowski here in Lions, you take the starters out.
I'm not the coach.
Take the starters out, and then you give Daniel Jones an opportunity. Maybe he pops off. Maybe they ride the hottest hand in to the playoffs. So I don't know. I definitely see him being activated. Once he I definitely don't see him playing practice squad safety. I'll tell you what, not for that team.
No.
So, but yeah, I definitely think he'll get activated and updated, probably to second string, and then they may ride the hot hand, or just as a safety caution is better than Nick Mullins as an option there. So,
yeah, Kevin. Sorry, go ahead, Zoltowski.
I totally agree. He's just on the practice squad to probably learn the playbook and all their signals and everything. because we've talked about it before. We've seen flashes in the pen. We even thought about upgrading him from double ass to single ass earlier this year. So I mean, he's got the potential. And I think he's a team now that's going to actually work with him, and I think he'll, be a good backup. Maybe, maybe even see a 2 QB system eventually in Minnesota. Who knows?
I mean, nothing's set in stone over there. I mean, that QB position is still up for grabs. No one signed a long-term deal. I don't think. Right? Darnold hasn't signed a long-term deal, has he?
I don't think so.
No, but they did draft J.J. McCarthy last year.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's true. I forgot.
And can't wait to see him finally play.
Yeah, but I think Daniel Jones could really strive in this offense. Like Kevin O'Connell, his offense is very quarterback friendly, and Daniel Jones is a player where if he has confidence around him and confidence in himself, then I think he'll be a good player again. I'm not going to say he's going to set the world on fire, but he can be impactful for a football team for sure.
100%. Well, I mean, we've talked about that in the past, right? It's not so much the confidence in everyone else; it's his own confidence in himself. Exactly. And we've seen that over the years. He's drained. He's lost it. So hopefully, this new motivation gets behind him. Like a Sam Darnold, you see all these quarterbacks are drafted high, go to these awful teams, and then leave. Mac Jones had a great game this past weekend, right? Kind of struggled in New England, had a good game this past week. So kind of hopefully to see that same aura kind of carry with him, and you never know. I mean, he could pop off and do what he was drafted to do at 6 overall. What the Giants saw in him that they just never really gave him that proper opportunity. So, or the supporting cast around him. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see, that's for sure. But I mean, they're a playoff team regardless. So
Yeah, definitely. The other piece of news I had before we get into our fantasy heroes and zeros, us being 3 former men that played in the trenches, we had a fat guy pick 6 this week, boys.
I love that.
Leonard Williams, 6'5", 300-pound defensive tackle, picked off Aaron Rodgers for a 92-yard interception return for a touchdown.
That's a freight train rumbling and stumbling down the field, man.
How is he not winded? I would have passed out of the 30 on the way there. Like, there's no way.
I mean, he was probably thinking.
I always saw the clip of it, and he's nowhere near as big as Sean Rodgers used to be, but that just reminded me of the Sean Rodgers pick 6 he had when he was in Detroit.
I mean, you just go blind. I'm pretty sure he just probably blacked out and ended up in the end zone and woke up in the end zone. How did I get here? And I'm glad he picked off Aaron Rodgers because we'll get into that a little later, though.
Yeah, Leonard Williams, former Jet, pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
But let's get into our fantasy heroes and zeros. Boys, if you don't care, I'm going to go first because I'm going to toot my own horn here for a second.
Go for it.
My fantasy starter of the week last week, Bucky Irving, is my fantasy hero for this week. He played 54% of the snaps, had 25 carries for 152 yards, 1 touchdown, and he had 3 receptions on 3 targets for 33 yards.
A lot of threes.
For a total of 27.5 full PPR fantasy points. So it was really great to see Bucky Irving play well. I did bet on him a little bit, and those all came to fruition, so that was nice that I put my money where my mouth is, and I profited a little bit off of that. He did finally get what we would call a bell cow's workload. He got the over 20 carries. He had 25, so that was really nice to see. And Rachaad White still got some work, not as much, but hopefully Bucky really emerges as that lead back in future weeks for the Bucs, because their offense is just so much more dynamic when he's on the field and he has the ball in space. I mean, we've talked about it prior times before. Rachaad White he's a good player, but Bucky Irvin's just on a different level.
Well, he brings in this similar like angst and pump me up kind of attitude that Baker brings, right? When Baker does his thing, when he runs, he's not really going to slide. He's going to take that hit and bounce off and do all kinds of shit. They love that. People feed off that. And now they got a running back who does the same shit, who can pop off and break a 45-yard run and then get hyped. You never really saw that with Rashad White. And Rashad, good running back. He reminds me of like a Le'Veon Bell with the patience that he has behind there. Good pass catching back and running up the middle, takes his time. But sometimes you need that powerhouse, that exciting guy. And Bucky, and we talked about this, right? All the opportunities that these young guys get to eventually take the lead role, and he's seizing every opportunity. I mean, 25 carries for 152 yards. I mean, plus he was injured a little bit that game too. He didn't really play the first half, right?
He went out and he came back in. Yeah, exactly.
So,
and
look, I mean, the hell of a call, not because I mean, I listened to you for once and put him in a couple of lineups. Trusted you on that one, and you saved me a couple wins this week because of what he did. So, I mean, finally he's getting the bell cow role, which we kind of been waiting since the off season. It took 12 weeks to do it, but at least we're seeing something that way. So they'll still use Rashad, but hopefully they carry that momentum with Bucky and showcase what he can really do. So I mean, he's not done. So
yeah, you're right. They're still going to use Rashad. Bucky's snap percentage was 54%. Rashad's was, I believe, 53. So they were on the field together in some packages. So it's going to be interesting to see if they keep running that 2 running back set. I think it worked out pretty well for him this week.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, great pick, Nut, on that one. And we talk about it a lot, though. That 2-headed monster in the backfield is huge for teams. You've got one guy that can get open in space, another guy that's just going to lower his shoulder. Keep them both fresh for longer. That way, you're getting more out of your backs. Gives us as fantasy managers options. Whereas, hey, I've got, they're going against this defense that, doesn't cover the pass very well. They like to throw a lot of, check downs and running backs get open. Or, hey, they're terrible against the run. Well, maybe I pick him up or trade for him. So,
right.
But I hope they continue to do that. I love to see that the run game is becoming more prevalent again in the NFL, because for a while I felt like it was just kind of turning into air raid.
It really
kind of goes ebbs and flows. Like a couple years ago, I remember drafting redraft leagues. It was like, you need to get this receiver, you need to get this receiver, and then the years before that, it was you need to get this running back, you need to get that running back. So it's interesting how it like ebbs and flows and kind of goes back and forth. But
I think we've got a good mix right now. Like you're seeing a lot of teams do both and seeing success.
Mm-hmm.
And the game's just more interesting to watch. I think this is one of probably the best NFL seasons we've had in a while.
You're just in it because you're a Lions fan.
No, I mean the NFC North as a whole, man. I mean, I counted the Vikings out. The Packers are right where I thought they were going to be. The Bears are about where I thought they were going to be. The 49ers did a complete 180. Now, obviously, a lot of that's injuries, but, the Eagles are playing extremely well. I mean, the Bengals are playing great offensive football.
Yeah,
defense is another story.
Bad.
But,
bad.
That team is rough right now.
And I hate to talk well about them, but the Steelers, too, I thought, we always make the joke where, Mike Tomlin's going to hit his 500 and squeak into the playoffs, where their quarterback that's got control of that locker room.
He does have control of that locker room.
He's got control of the locker room, boys.
I've been saying it. Episode.
I've been saying it.
One locker room has been mentioned.
I'm never gonna let it die. But there's just, and then we've seen a lot of teams like the Saints at the beginning of the year. You've got Carolina starting to play better football. Yeah, they're eliminated, but Bryce Young's looking better. I don't know. We're seeing a lot of guys.
Yeah, Bryce Young's looked pretty good the last couple of weeks.
So I think, like I said, it's been a good season. And
maybe the whole benching, starting, and now we're going to go ahead and start you. Yeah, maybe that's the whole. Maybe that's it. Anthony Richardson's been playing. Accuracy is shit still, but I mean, he's out there doing his thing. It looks like he's got a little chip on his shoulder. So
true.
Just like 60%. That's all we're asking for. That's it.
Speaking of quarterbacks with chips on their shoulders, Fish, you had a guy who had a hell of a night last night.
I did. Josh Allen. this man, he does everything. I know that when we did our early picks, them losing Stephon Diggs, like, okay, they got Keon Coleman, who's a rookie. They got Shakir. They got no-name wide receivers. Allen's maybe going to put up 15 touchdowns this year through the air. He's going to have to do it on his legs. We were unsure on Jared Cook. What was he going to do this year? That is Jared, right? Jared Cook?
James.
That's Jared Cook's the tight end. James Cook. Jared's his brother. Long distance brother.
Alvin's his brother.
It's a long distance brother. Twice removed, what they said. James Cook. We were unsure going into late last year. They were using him, and then they didn't use him, and it looked like he was kind of like in that Jonathan Taylor, that whole where, yeah, we're going to sign you that deal, but then we're not going to use you because you pissed us off somehow. We just didn't know what the Bills were going to do. And man, they have stayed hot. I knew Josh Allen last night. I mean, it was just incredible trying to watch this guy do everything, literally everything, by the way, literally everything.
Yeah.
13 of 17. With 148 yards, which is on the lower end for his passing capabilities. But he scored 2 touchdowns. He had 3 carries for 18 yards for a touchdown, also on the very lower end. We're used to seeing him drive at least 30, sometimes even hit that 60 mark with no problem. But the interesting thing here, though, was a quick hook and ladder 7-yard reception touchdown that Shakir had and then tossed it to Josh, and then he eventually scored on the left side of the end zone there. I believe he is the first quarterback. Now I know we're not including Taysom Hill, right? Because he's a tight end technically, but he is the first quarterback to score a rushing, throwing, and then a receiving touchdown in the same game. Very interesting fact, and I'm surprised he hasn't already hit this already. It looks like the Bills, and they definitely beat the hell out of San Fran, but it looks like the Bills are having fun out there. Everyone, the defense we knew was borderline elite, really. They've done incredibly well shutting down a lot of these powerhouse offenses and keeping them in check. And then obviously with Josh Allen doing amazing things with what seems like, I know they picked up Amari Cooper from the Browns, but I mean, he had 2 receptions for 3, caught 2 balls on 3 pass attempts for 12 yards. He really wasn't that much of a factor. So Josh Allen
was the one that...
Yeah, he was the one with the hook and ladder.
Yeah, he was the one with the hook and ladder. Yeah.
Wrong receiver here, God. But regardless, it seems like Josh Allen is doing everything he can to lead that team to essentially they clinched the playoffs. So very interesting there. But
I think they did win their division already.
Yeah, they did
with that.
I'm on mark with that one. I saw that come through. So Josh Allen just, put up 32.42 fantasy points so far, and I know a lot of people were down going into that Monday night game, and then all of a sudden everybody's in the green. So solely because of Josh Allen. So,
but no, Fish, you're right. We talked, and there was a lot of talking heads before the season. How's Josh Allen going to play this year? Vacating 230 targets to both Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis. Where's he going to throw to? And he's been finding the guys. He's throwing to both those tight ends. He's getting the ball to Shakir, Hollins. Cooper's been effective sometimes he's not, but I think he's still learning the offense. So, he's blowing away everyone's expectations right now, especially with that game last night.
Oh yeah, he's making an MVP run for sure. He's playing out of his mind. I don't think that even the Chiefs' black magic can stop that offense.
Well, it didn't already.
No, I know. You saw all the jokes. Oh, just wait till the playoffs. Wait till the playoffs. That's a good-looking football team.
Yeah.
I think he's also got the locker room too.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. We were actually sitting there at Friendsgiving. We're like, who's going to be MVP? We were talking about Joe Burrow, Saquon, and then we got home that night, and then Sunday Night Football kicked off, and it was kind of just like, oh, Josh Allen, of course, is going to be Josh MVP Allen this year. Duh. Makes sense. But Zoltowski, you're a fantasy hero.
Yeah, so my fantasy hero went with a rookie this week. Real good player. He's a tight end 1. It's going to be Brock Bowers. 90% took 90% of the snaps against the Chiefs on Black Friday. He went 10 receptions on 14 targets for 140 yards and 1 touchdown, and had 30.2 fantasy points in our league. I mean, he is just having a fantastic rookie season. Like I said already, he's tight end 1 right now in Sleeper. He's 2 receptions short of the record for most receptions by a rookie tight end, which was set last year by Sam Laporta. And they've got multiple games left in the season, so how high that number can go is unknown. He's close to catching Mike Ditka's rookie receiving yards record. I'm pretty sure. I think he's not close to the touchdown one because he's only got like 5, and the record's 12. But he also leads all pass catchers in the league right now in total receptions with 84. Wow. Yeah. And really, when you look at it, he's really Las Vegas' only option, especially now that Mattinson's he's been hurt. Their other running backs hurt. They traded away Devontae, which they're gonna, I think, owe a higher round pick for that one, right?
Probably, yeah.
So, but I mean, he's taking advantage of that fully, and I'm excited to see. I'm hoping, what happened to Laporta this year doesn't happen to him next year. I don't think it will. But I think he's going to have success in the league. I can't wait to watch him continue to play well and do what he's doing more.
Yeah, even though he's a tight end, they kind of split him out quite a bit as well. So he kind of lines up everywhere. But you're right. He's been on fire the last few weeks. And Brock Bowers, this is not the only time we're going to talk about him on this podcast. So, All right, let's get into our fantasy zeros for week 13. Fish, I see you have a tight end here. Would you like to kick us off?
I do, yeah. It's kind of going in tandem with the 49ers. We kind of discussed it a little bit earlier. To go from such a top, playoff bound, Super Bowl bound team to then just have an immediate fall off. The only bright side on this offense, outside Jordan Mason, the best running back in the league, was George Kittle. George Kittle was back in his prime. He was the number 2 tight end right behind Brock Bowers, was putting up solid numbers, was consistent, hasn't really gotten hurt, knock on wood, this year, and has played consistent games. I think he might have sat out 1 game. But still, unlike the last common trend that he's had the last 4 or 5 years, he's been out multiple times, multiple games. This year is the opposite factor. He looks good. He's excited. Brock Purdy has now leaned on him because they can't lean on Debo or Ayuk because now he's hurt. CMC hurt. So who's your best friend out there? Who's the most reliable guy, the biggest guy out there that can get you targets, get you catches, get you down the field? It's George Kittle. Not this week. The Bills shut that shit down quick. He had 1 reception for 7 yards, having an all-time low at 2.9 fantasy points. It's the lowest amount of points since week 2. Where he had 7 points. Again, he's been stellar this entire year, but I don't know if it was the snow, if it was the cold, if play calling or whatever it may be. This was a down week. I know I started him. I know a lot of people were hoping that he would pop off like he usually does. And again, it is a long season. These big name receivers, running backs, tight ends, quarterbacks are going to have those down weeks. Everyone's human. But man, this was kind of killer watching that game and then seeing the Bills score again and again and again, which in most cases is great for us. Works out in our favor. Brock Purdy has to throw the ball now. Guess what? Debo isn't really doing anything this year. The rest of the receiving core isn't doing anything. Jordan Mason's been shut down. Isaac Guerrero out there is doing well. Who's the best guy out there that could catch the ball, get you that confidence down the field? George Kittle. And it was just not happening this week. So it's good to see Josh Allen do incredible things, but it was definitely a down week for George Kittle. So he's my fantasy zero this week.
Yeah, the 49ers are really feeling that Super Bowl hangover. I mean, we talk about injuries. Every team has injuries, but it seems like they just have more and more every week. I mean, CMC and Jordan Mason are both hitting the IR. So now they have to play with Isaac Guerrero, and Although I think he's going to be okay. Who knows what's going to happen with the rest of their season? I mean, they're 5-6. They're not sniffing the playoffs at this point. I think Arizona's still leading that division, right?
I'd have to double check, but I think so.
I think.
Yeah, the NFC West is just a couple years ago. It seemed like one of the best divisions in football, and now they're just really, really struggling. So
No, it's the Seahawks.
is it the Seahawks ahead now?
Okay. Seahawks.
Yeah, Seahawks had a big game against the Jets this week. So yeah, Fish, that's a great pick. I mean, I don't know where Kittle was. Seemed like he played the entire game, but he just didn't have any production.
Yeah, and like I said, everybody has those down weeks, but you figure being down that early, that much, you'd kind of air out the ball. Now, I don't know if the weather was a factor. I mean, it's the first time they've really played in snow this year. San Fran, going to the Bills Stadium, doing all that jazz. But it was tough to watch. I mean, it's just like nobody. I think Purdy finished under 100 yards. I think he had 98 or something like that. It's just a really rough week for San Fran and that whole organization over there. It's tough.
Well, I think the weather was definitely a factor because we were sitting there watching the game together on Discord, and we kept saying the 49ers are just slipping out there. Like, did they not bring extra cleats? Did they not bring bigger spikes or anything to get that grip? But I don't know. There were countless times where dudes in the trenches for the 49ers on both sides were just sliding all over the place like they were figure skaters.
Yeah, weather for sure was a factor, I think. But I mean, even I don't know. It's like you said, George Kittle's that guy you look to. Normally he's solid, definitely a higher picked tight end in leagues. And I mean, with everyone, with all the injuries and him being, again, one of the only options you got out there, you're expecting him to get the ball. And he had an off week.
Right. So for my fantasy zero, I know we just talked about the Jets a little bit. I'm going to talk about a specific player. I'm not going to infringe too much on what Fish is going to talk about because he's going to talk about the Jets in a little bit here, but I'm going to talk solely about Breece Hall. Breece Hall was on the field for 62% of snaps. He had 12 carries for 60 yards, 1 target, no catches. He had 2 fumbles and he lost one of them, finishing with a horrifying 6 points in full PPR for where you drafted him. He's kind of going to be the same speech I gave about James Conner last week. Like, where was he the entire second half of that game? I mean, the Jets were winning 21-16 at halftime. They were up 21-7 in the second quarter. Why are we not just running the ball more with Breece Hall, Braylon Allen? Game script wise, the game never really got out of hand for the Jets. I think it finished like 26-21. So I'm not sure if they just completely abandoned the run at some point. But, Breece Hall having only 12 carries, averaging 5 yards a carry, is not going to help your football team. If your lead back is getting 5 yards a carry, you would think that the offensive coordinator is going to try and get him the ball more. But, yeah, I don't know. It's another milk carton kind of thing. Put him on a milk carton, he's missing. So that's my little spiel about Breece Hall this week. He's been very up and down, very disappointing this season. So it's pretty demoralizing, especially if you, like myself, drafted him in the first round.
Oof.
And then Zoltowski, let's get into your fantasy zero of the week.
So my fantasy zero of the week is another guy who you look to for receptions, makes some big plays. Went with Cooper Kupp this week. 91 snap percentage. Went 3 receptions on 6 targets for only 17 yards with 5.67 fantasy points this week. So, couple options. I know he was hurt for a while, came back, had some decent outings, but I know he's one of the guys that was drafted pretty high in some leagues. Puka's listed on the depth chart as wide receiver 1 with Kupp at wide receiver 2 now. I know Puka's been, ever since he came back, has been balling out too, and normally Cooper's getting double covered because for a while there, he was the guy to throw to. But he normally catches it when the ball comes his way, and for him to drop half of his targets is a bit surprising. I didn't see that game. I don't know if they were, if he was thrown into coverage or what, but even then he normally goes up and gets that ball. Typically look for him to get at least 12 points, and for him to not even get half that, it's just upsetting for fantasy managers.
A lot of big drops this week. CD had about 3 or 4 drops as well. I don't know if there was a drop bug going around in the receivers, but I mean, it's kind of shocking, to be honest. You figured 2 guys that are very sure hands, and all of a sudden they're dropping everything that comes their way, and it's not like they're difficult catches. Most of them hit them right in their chest. So I don't know. I mean, Cooper Kupp seems like to be aging out, and Puka's becoming the new, younger, bigger version of Cooper. So I mean, it's good for fantasy managers.
Yeah.
It's Puka, that's for sure.
I have him in my other league.
I do as well. It's great. We love it.
Yeah, it almost seems like this was like an outlier week for Cooper. So I think he's still decent. I don't know if he's aging out as much as we think he is after this last week, but you're right, man. I don't know if they just didn't throw to him much this week. I mean, his targets were way down from where they've been in the previous 5 weeks, but he just must not have been getting open or what. I don't know.
I remember week 1 when they played the Lions. He had
targets, yeah.
Yeah, he had 21. We were like, oh my God, like they're just going to throw the ball to him. Like he's going to shatter this, target record, all that. And then he gets hurt, which is unfortunate, but I don't know. Maybe, hopefully, maybe the game script was, hey, they're just going to cover Cooper. Let's throw it to Puka. And if so, that worked. I think Puka had a great week this week, if I remember correctly.
I mean, look, as long as you have Stafford back there slinging the rock, both those guys are going to be starters.
Yeah.
They would start on my fantasy team both at the same time.
Right.
I'm okay with him getting 6 points and knowing that Puka just got 18. So,
yeah.
It makes up for it. But again, as long as Stafford's back there slinging the rock, as long as McVay's still coaching, you should be fine. Yeah, I think it's just a weird week for him. So, unless those injuries are catching up to him, you never know.
Could be.
Not a doctor.
All right, but let's get into our week 14. Gosh, I can't believe that. Week 14 already, boys. Football is dwindling.
I
We're
hate
about to be in the dark ages again.
I hate it.
Hey, learn to like hockey. That
hockey.
goes to like April, and then that'll get you into baseball.
Oh, baseball.
I joined a fantasy hockey league.
That's just too much.
It's just these guys are
so
dropping
much.
stellar players. I just don't want to drop anybody. It's like I'm 0-8, so kiss my ass. Eventually, this is what it boils down to. Don't do it.
Well, is it so? How do the matchups work in that?
It's the same thing like baseball and football. You go up against one person, and then it's based off of individual stats. So if they get an assist or score a goal,
But it's weekly, so like your player's going to go, obviously, sometimes 3, maybe 4 times a week.
Yep.
It's structured like
a lot of these
fantasy baseball, right? You have goalies, and then you have position
and then you got
players.
defensive players. Yeah, exactly.
Who's your goalie?
Couldn't tell you because everyone's ass.
No, we need to pick up Elvis
Merzelkins
for the Blue Jackets.
Yeah, let me tell you, these guys have made 1,000. I shit you not, 1,000
waiver claims.
Yeah, waiver claims, ad drops. I don't know what's going on. It's just like I got a whiteboard behind me. It's all got scribbles on it. Who do I add? That guy, is he good? Do I drop them? The guy's putting up 10 points this week. It's a whole different element. I'm not ready for it. A buddy of mine didn't give me the heads up on it. I thought everybody was just gonna keep their players. Nope, everybody's interchangeable. Didn't make any sense. Why would you draft him 1-1 if you could drop him? I don't know. Beats me. I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
Like that Charlie Day gif.
I was gonna say,
Yep.
Pepe
Silva.
Yeah, have some coffee. A cigarette. Yeah, I'm trying to, man. I'm trying to calm down. Let's see.
Oh,
Great episode. Yeah, exactly. So, Sorry, no, you're
You're
talking.
good. Let's get into our fantasy football starts of the week for week 14. Fish, why don't you go ahead and go first, buddy?
For sure. So I've talked about them already. It seems like it's a week, kind of a theme for me is the 49ers defense. I am starting DeAndre Swift. I think the Bears, I don't know if Caleb he's done well. We've seen that flash in the pan, the few games that he's had consecutive. He's made smart throws. He's ran it well. He's had some zesty slides, whatever it may be. He's leading the team, the offense down the field. The last few weeks, man, it's almost like he reverted back to the first 4 or 5 weeks that he started. Doesn't look consistent. I mean, if Keenan Allen's only getting 3 targets a game, I think that's a big problem. But DeAndre Swift is outside of DJ Moore and Keenan, is going to be that guy that can also catch the ball out of the backfield, is a very good runner, and has enough capabilities to break off a long run or a long catch, which he's done the last few weeks. He's done that well. I think you need to feed DeAndre. Now, I got a good feeling that here's the reason why, right? So the 49ers, again, still a top defense. They're currently ranked in 11th in rushing yards, so about almost the top 10, a little bit in the middle of the pack, though. Just giving up about on average about 110 yards per game. But here's been the last common trend for running backs against teams that they played. Against the Bills, Cook, Jared, or James, whatever one you would like to call, had 14 carries for 107 yards and a touchdown. Ray Davis, the rookie, had 11 carries for 63 yards and a touchdown. Again, that was against the Bills. Bills are an incredible team. They're doing very well. They're having a lot of fun. Let's slide back another week. Let's go against the Packers, right? They're in a little bit of a funk. They kind of really turn it around. They got this, I think, an up-and-coming guy, Jacobs or something like that. 26 carries for 106 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, keep in mind, this is also a top 11 defense in rushing. Let's take another week back, though. Let's go to the Seahawks. Young guy Kenny Walker out there. 14 rushes for 54 yards and a touchdown. I think Geno even sneaks in 30 yards. Not a mobile quarterback, not like he was back in the day. For 30 yards and a touchdown.
Was that in overtime? That Geno Smith touchdown? Is that one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think it was a 20-plus yarder. I mean, it looked great. It looked like he was in slow motion, but he still got in there and scored. Nonetheless, still scored. Let's go back just one more week. Against Tampa Bay, against another Bucky Irving. 13 carries for 73 yards and a touchdown. Has anybody seen a trend here, a commonality
here? I've seen a lot of TDs on the board.
All these running backs and quarterbacks have scored a touchdown. I'm thinking, and I'm starting DeAndre Swift this week against the 49ers stout defense, that in the sole being that they have to get Swift the ball in order to win. We've seen this time and time again. When Swift is involved, the winning percentage does increase, right? Because now they're not so much loading the box or spreading the cornerbacks out. I mean, you got incredible weapons on this team, and you got a good quarterback. If you get DeAndre, you let him slip, let him slide out to the side, or catch a ball on a screen pass or something like that, kind of opens up the game. Something that we haven't seen in the last few weeks is giving him that opportunity to break away and do what DeAndre Swift does. Which is, bust open a run for 30 yards and gain that confidence there. Look, the last 4 or 5 weeks that we've seen 49ers play good teams, even some of the weaker teams, they've scored. Okay? I'm anticipating DeAndre Swift goes in there, at least gets 15 to 20 carries, at least 65 to 75 yards if he doesn't pop off a long one, and he's got to score. Bears have to get him the ball. They got to find a way to get your best playmakers outside of Keenan Allen and DJ Moore. You got to get him the ball. Okay, that's my go-to guy. I saw the commonality this week and weeks before. Don't let the top defense fool you, and especially in rushing. I mean, they're a very, very stout defense, San Francisco. but there's a little bit of a common trend going on, and I'm okay with jumping on that train, riding that common trend. Just one more week with DeAndre. So that's my pick. DeAndre Swift, Bears versus 49ers. They got to stay hot. They got to win, and that's the avenue they got to go through.
We got a new coach out there now too.
Yeah,
Yes,
they
they
do.
do. This one doesn't. This one actually picks up his mouth when he's stunned. Not the other one. He just kind of leaves Eli Manning out there. That's crazy.
Joe.
You think he's going to actually use his timeouts? I'm glad he didn't, but
He knew right there that he was gone. He was like, "Yep, I'm out."
No, and hours before they announced that they let him go, there was a video that was posted of him talking about, we handled it. I thought we handled it well, the way we wanted to, yada yada yada. I'm just focused on San Francisco next week, and then like 2 hours later,
Maybe
gone.
that interview's the reason he got fired.
Living in the land of Delulu.
Guy's crazy.
It's fine.
I
think it's a good pick. He's in my lineup, Fish. I've been seeing the up and down struggles with him because, he has one game where he, breaks out, scores 18, 20 points, and then just back down. So,
well, you've seen it with the Lions. You've had it firsthand. I've had it with first team with the Eagles too. I mean,
which is wild that he's bounced. This is his third team in 3 years, is it not? Because he was the Lions.
He's with the Eagles for a year, and then didn't use him, and then we got rid of him. But
yep, and because I remember last year, just why is Gainwell in there? Get Swift the ball, and I'm right there saying it with you. Not only because I had him in fantasy, but because I know how good I saw him do really well with the Lions.
He's a game breaker, man. He really is. He can pop off her run at any moment, a 20, 30 yarder, no problem. But that's just a matter of fact that they don't get him the ball enough. Now I don't know if it's game script. Whatever it may be, I don't know. You just figure you got to get in your playmakers, and that's one of my playmakers. I got to get him the hand, even if it's a screen pass or a quick little lateral, whatever it is, let him do his thing. He'll break off a 40-yard run. It'll be perfectly fine. So, I don't know. That'll be an interesting game. Let's see if Brock Purdy can beat Caleb Williams. It'll be something. That's right.
I'm going to say it.
Mr. Irrelevant versus number one.
I'm going to say it. Game script sucks.
Well, it's going to be hopefully a new game script.
I have Swift and Breece Hall in the same league together. It's just awful every week. I don't know who's showing up. I don't know who's not showing up. Sometimes they both don't show up, and I'm just left there alone. No, Fish, I think this is a great pick, and my reasoning behind that is the injury bug for San Fran does not stop on the offensive side. Nick Bosa hasn't played the last couple weeks. Hufanga, they're very good, strong safety. He may not be back the entire season for 2024. And he's a big player, especially in the run game. He comes up and he makes a lot of good open field tackles. And Fred Warner also got banged up that last game, so who knows if he's gonna play or be very effective the next game. So that's 3-star defensive players, one at each level, that may not play next week.
Sounds like DeAndre Swift is going to eat.
Fire him up, dude.
I hope so.
I need it. I need it back.
I'm going to text him.
Yeah, send him a text. I'm going to tweet him.
So while you tweet Swift, Zoltowski, why don't you tweet a player on the other side of the ball?
I am on the other side, on the other team, on the same side of the ball, the same position, actually.
There we go.
My fantasy start this week is Isaac Guerrero. I know we talked about him earlier with all the injuries. We keep bringing up the injury bug in San Fran. It's real. It's there. Their options are limited. Purdy hasn't been playing his best football. Pass game's just not there. I feel like they're going to run the ball, and the Bears do have a pretty good defense. But you go back and you watch the Thanksgiving game against the Lions, and again, it's Gibbs and Montgomery, so. But they're breaking off a couple big runs. I know Gibbs had that fumble, but I think he's gonna get fed the ball. I mean, he put up 8.6 points on only 23% of the snaps against the Bills. So Swift got I think 9 with 69% of the snaps. So potential's there. Rookie. He's their only running back option. I think he's going to see the ball a lot with all the injuries out there. So
Yeah,
that's my pick
he's
for
a
the week.
great pick. I know we've talked previous podcasts. It almost seems like it doesn't matter who the running back is for San Fran. Going back multiple years, they've always played well. Whoever's getting the bulk of the carries, and Isaac Guerrero, I mean, he's going to be exciting to watch. He's so fast. Ran
He's
like a
incredibly
low
fast.
4.340 at the combine. That's all anybody ever talks about anytime he gets the ball. So it's going to be really interesting to see how well he does.
He's not that small of a guy, too. He's like 6 something, isn't he? 6'1"?
He's 6 foot 221.
Yeah, I mean that's not a small guy to be running that
Out of
fast.
Louisville,
No.
dude.
Terrible.
No.
Louisville.
I had no
Good
idea
old
he was
Louisville.
a Cardinal.
Started at Wisconsin.
Did he really? I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Transferred his senior year.
There's great picks on
Yep,
basket, though.
great pick.
Very, very good.
Yep.
I'm actually starting him in a couple leagues in one too. I need it.
Pick him up if you don't have him. He's
There's
I
no
only-
way he's not out there.
he's only in picked up in 74% of leagues on Sleeper, so good chance he's available in your league.
Yeah, probably.
It's a big shout.
So my start of the week, and the reason I'm picking Brock Bowers, I know we've already talked about him, is some people don't have a tight end position on in their rosters. So with that being said, Brock Bowers can be started at your flex position, and he can definitely be started this week at your flex position. The Raiders take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who rank 30th in pass yards allowed per game at 258.3 a game. Brock Bowers has 40 targets. He has 40 targets in his last 3 games, and he has had some huge games. Those last 3 games, we've been talking about how on fire he is. So some previous games Tampa Bay has allowed to the tight end position. I'm going to talk about a few of them here. Mark Andrews in week 7, he went 4 for 4 for 41 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kyle Pitts in week 5 and week 8 went 7 for 8 for 88 yards in week 5, 4 for 5, 91 yards and 2 touchdowns in week 8. And then Travis Kelce in week 9, he had 14 receptions on 16 targets for 100 yards. And honestly, the way Brock Bowers is being used, he's that caliber of player to be named up there with those guys. I mean, he's the number 1 tight end on the season. And you're definitely going to be able to start him this week and have a pretty successful week, because it doesn't matter who his quarterback is. He's had success with both Gardner Minshew, who's out for the year, and Aiden O'Connell. So I think unless Spencer Rattler for some reason starts this week, Brock Bowers is an all systems go for me. I'm starting him everywhere I can. And I'm excited about it. And the Raiders, they're not really playing for anything, but they're playing spoiler to teams. Tampa Bay is a team that can be spoiled right now. They can't really afford to lose games, but Antonio Pierce, the head coach of the Raiders, he's not one to back down or to tank or anything by any means. So he's going to get the most out of his players that he has left on his roster. And Brock Bowers, I think, is just going to eat this week for sure.
Great pick. I'm here for it. He was my hero this week. And he's having a hell of a season. Like I said earlier, I'm excited to continue to watch him succeed.
It's interesting that you brought up playing him in your flex. Honestly, I would probably play him over 90% of a lot of the running backs and receivers that are out there with how good he is and how the volume that he's getting. Over a Tyreek Hill type player, even a CD Lamb. I know that CD Lamb is on the outskirts with his quarterback situation, but a lot of those big, Breece Hall, 1,000% would play him over Breece Hall or anybody like that. You see a lot of these big names, and you got this young kid coming up. He's done incredible things for tight ends. I mean, he's kind of reawakening that spot. So good to see him doing well. I'm glad to see him there force feeding the man. So it's good stuff.
I agree with almost everything you just said, except CD plays the Bengals this week. Start him.
I think he's hurt.
CD?
He's questionable.
He's fine, dude.
Yes, ego hurt because he dropped like 4 balls and ruined my chances of winning.
Jerry Jones is going to sit CD. Notice I said Jerry Jones, not Mike McCarthy. He's not going to sit CD on Monday Night Football. There's too much money there.
Way too much, but it's too much money to sell blinds in the Dallas Stadium to help cover the sun from coming in.
So.
It's also the Simpsons simulcast.
I just saw that. Yeah, I thought that was starting this week, but I guess it's next week.
No, it's because I remember people talking about how they couldn't flex it because they're both terrible because of all the animations and stuff that have been already made for it.
Last year it was Toy Story, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
That was actually pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, I think it was the Jags and
Jackson.
I can't remember who the other team was. Yes, the Jags.
Yes, the Jags.
I apologize.
Unbelievable.
That would, in fact, be
Jacksonville versus Jacksonville inter-squad scrimmage.
It was Atlanta and Jacksonville. Well, that was it was really interesting on how they did it too, because it was like real time.
I remember watching a side-by-side of some play that Trevor Lawrence like ran out to the left, and it was almost perfect the way the game captured it. So,
yep.
And
it was a London game too.
Oh yeah, the London game. Forgot about that. All right, but let's get into our week 14 games of the week coming up. So we like to do these in chronological order. I know you've heard me say that before, but Fish or Zoltowski, you both have a 1:00 slate game. I don't care who goes first. Just pick one.
Take it, Fish.
Alrighty then. I got the Jets versus the Dolphins at 1 p.m. Jets, we've talked about them already. We had high aspirations. Aaron Rodgers went to his little wood retreat, got stoned, came back, thought he was going to be, the next coming of Jesus. Has been the opposite effect. It has not done well. He's gotten a coach fired, though. So that's a plus, I guess, for him. You could check that off again.
I think the GM's next.
Honestly, yeah, and I think the owner's about cashing out, too. So
the owner needs to sell the team.
It's getting to that point. It really is. I mean, Rodgers has come out and he said, well, I don't know if I'm going to come back next year, but if I do, totally with the Jets, though. As he's, smoking the peyote. So, the Jets are 3-9. They got the 7th pick overall right now. If the games ended this week, do they turn around? Do they continue to tank? I mean, they got Garrett Wilson's a really, really good receiver. They got Breece Hall. I mean, the team's young enough. Do they tank for? I mean, is Rodgers the problem? Was it the coach? Is it the scheme? I mean, we could ask these questions all day, right? But in this circumstance, the Jets' offense is abysmal. Currently ranked 31st in total yards per game. Total passing yards, they're averaging about 204, ranked 22nd. Rushing yards, this absolutely kills me. Currently ranked 30th at 87.3. That's all rushing from all running backs and the occasional sidestep that
Rodgers. Gosh, dude.
It's awful. It's awful for where people drafted Breece Hall, which is so unfortunate. And the total points per game is not much better. Sitting in 26th place, 18.8 points a game. Now, the Dolphins' defense has really actually turned up a little bit and has done incredibly well as of lately. Currently giving up total yards about 311 yards per game. That's currently ranked 8th. Total passing yards given up at 174.9, which is currently ranked 2nd amongst all NFL teams. Total rushing yards, we know that this number is definitely gonna lower. They're giving up an average of 107.5 yards a game. Currently ranked 9th. So with Breece Hall getting maybe 6-7 yards, they might shoot up to 3rd. Who knows? And then total points given up, sitting in 12th at 22.2 points per game. I think that Dolphins team has reawakened. Tyreek Hill finally scored this past week. A chain has been doing a chain things. Jalen Wall getting, Jonnu Smith. I mean, can we talk about that guy just a little bit
Yeah,
more?
just
Guy
another
pops
animal.
off. Like, why? Glad that Tua's found his outlet. But what I kind of want to ask you guys, right? If you're the Jets owner, GM, whatever, if you're part of the Jets organization, if we're looking at this game as a kind of like what Nutt said, I'm in a position to kind of ruin your chances of making playoffs because I know that we're not making it. Do you try and go out and ruin chances for teams to make playoffs or make it a little bit more difficult? Or are you okay with sitting at 7, knowing that the Giants and Raiders most likely probably to draft a quarterback? I love Tommy Cutlets, love the name, probably not it. And then they have benched and started Jaden O'Connell to garner Minshew about 15 times this season. Getting sick of that love story.
I think it's a coin flip. They just
it really is.
Every possession they flip a coin. Heads is O'Connell, tails is Gardner.
And you know what's crazy? It's the same outcome. It's an L. It's an L every time. We know that the Pats, Panthers, and Jags and Titans are fairly content with their quarterbacks and also have the capabilities of winning games still for some ungod no reason. I don't know. But if you're the Jets, do you try and ruin the spoils for other teams to make playoffs? Or are you okay with taking a back seat and possibly moving further up the draft board? Maybe getting that quarterback that you need or trading for someone using that draft pick. What do you guys think?
So I don't think tanking is real in the NFL unless they're starting someone like Tommy DeVito. So as long as Aaron Rodgers is still in the game, as long as Breece Hall is still in the game, I think they're going to try and win football games. And this being a division game, yes, they're absolutely going to try and spoil the Dolphins' postseason hopes. That being said, are they talented enough to do it? I don't know. I mean, I did not realize that they were ranked 30th in rush yards per game. That's awful.
It's not good.
With the caliber of running backs they have, not just Breece Hall, Braylon Allen as well. He's very talented at running the rock. I mean, I can't believe that they're 30th overall in offense. Who's their offensive coordinator?
I don't know. Big question mark. Is like a creative character.
He needs to be
Aaron Rodgers.
It's Nathaniel Hackett. I remember that was a big story. Anyways, we're not going to get into the whole Nathaniel Hackett thing.
Look, go ahead, Nut.
No, that was pretty much all I had. I think the Jets are going to come out firing on the cylinders they have, whatever. How many of those?
The they're
going to try and spoil the Dolphins.
It's going to be the Tesla cylinders. Look, they're not going to tank because it's Aaron Rodgers and his ego at him, but they're not going to win because he's washed. He's too old. He's to just stay meditating in the woods, smoking peyote and eating cayenne pepper or powder or whatever the hell he's eating. They're just so bad. They're just awful. I don't know how they have 3 wins.
That's sad to say too.
It's
so sad to say.
I don't know why he left Green Bay.
Do you guys remember how hyped this team was 2 years ago?
Dude, yeah.
I mean, it was absolutely. I was part of the hype train.
Everybody was, man. Oh, Rodgers is coming back. He's going to be great. 4 plays in, Achilles tear, and then he's never been the same.
Look, Zach Wilson led them to more wins. They were 7-10 last year, which it still isn't good, but it's fine. It's fine. They're terrible. So instead, at 1 p.m., you should watch the Cleveland-Pittsburgh game.
Yeah, because that's not going to be a blowout for Pittsburgh.
Listen.
What do you mean?
Just listen.
Took my emotions out of it.
The snow, it's fine. The snow game on Thursday night when the Browns beat the Steelers was fantastic. That was a great game. It's a wonderful game to watch. I'm hoping for an upset in the pit. I really think, just the rivalry, the division. Jameis is awesome. Just as a human being, watching him pregame, postgame, during the game, I love this man and I want him to win. And they've been playing a lot better. Watching the game tonight, yeah, they've made some mistakes, but it's a 4-point game right now in the third quarter. And they're not out of the playoffs yet. They still have a very, 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 very. They got to win out.
They got to feed Kadarius Toney the ball more.
Who's
Listen,
not in the playoffs?
It's the Browns.
We're talking about playoffs.
Yeah.
They're not. They're not. I mean, would you not love to see them win out and somehow squeak in?
We've got to have divine intervention for us to get into the playoffs.
Listen, just borrow some of that Chief Splash magic. Can we get a safety here? No. But we'll go into the stats. A very one-sided game on paper here. But again, this was only a week difference. 2 weeks?
2 weeks, yeah.
So, 2-week difference. And we saw the outcome of the first game. Just saying, it's possible.
Sure.
So,
It's possible.
Browns yards per game, 292.5, ranked 29th. Points per game, 16.9, ranked 31st. Yards against per game, 345, ranked 23rd. And points against, 24.3, ranked 23rd. They're down there. And then you got the Steelers, yards per game, 344, 14th. Points per game, 24.7, 10th. Yards against, 311 per game, ranked top 10, 7th. And then points against, 18.7, ranked 6th. So, they're in the top 10 on 3 out of 4 categories there. Steelers defense has always been good. Offense is also playing well. I think Russ just threw for 4 touchdowns and over 300 yards against a terrible Bengals defense. But, that's just poor timing. Nardi, that's just poor timing.
So Nick's just threw like a 97-yard touchdown.
Oh, no.
93.
Damn,
Marvin Mims.
Oh, no.
But again, when you're playing a divisional rival, things change. I think it's gonna be a really good game to watch. It's the AFC North is a fun division to watch football. So watch that one instead of the Jets and the Dolphins.
Yeah, the Browns are playing spoiler, and it's specifically for AFC North teams. It seems like we beat the Ravens, we beat the Steelers once. I mean, I think we play the Bengals one more time. I'm not really sure, but hopefully we split 1-1 with each of them, and I'll count that as a win for a year.
Again, they went out. I don't know. It's only a 10-point game. They could win this game.
Possible.
They went out. Maybe they squeak in. Maybe. You never know.
Never know. I'm not going to get my hopes up, but
I wouldn't.
Let's talk about some real football teams here, some good football teams. My game of the week, arguably the only good game on the slate for next week. I mean,
honestly, it's a lot of shade going on here. Yeah?
Zoltowski and I were looking at games for next week, and
it's slim pickings. Thursday night, I think. Look, I couldn't pick my Lions 2 weeks in a row, but that is also going to be a good game. I'm sorry, what?
I'm picking the Los Angeles Chargers at the Kansas City Chiefs. Sunday Night Football, 8:20 p.m. Kansas City is 3.5-point favorites. There is a 42.5-point over/under on this game, and I think the Chargers could come out with a dub here, and I'm going to say it because the Chiefs didn't win the last time they played a good football team, which is the Bills. It seems like they are struggling anytime they play a team that is well coached like themselves. Jim Harbaugh is exactly that. He's a great coach. So, Tasky, I know you're going to.
It's great, coach. Love the Chargers coach.
So this game should be a bit of a chess match. Weather should not really be a factor, which is weird to say for Sunday night in a December game in Kansas City. It's supposed to be high of 59, low of 39. So shouldn't really see that much, snow or anything like that. It'll be a little chilly, but that's prime football weather. Going to go through the stats here. Chargers are 311.3 yards per game, ranked 23rd. They're scoring 21.7 points per game, ranked 18th. The Chiefs are at 346.1 yards per game, which is 15th. 24.1 yards per game, which is 11th. The Chiefs are allowing 311.2 yards per game, which is ranked 9th on the season. They're allowing 19.6 points per game, which is ranked 8th on the season. But the Chargers are ranked 1st in points per game, allowing only 15.7 points allowed per game. And they're allowing 325.8 yards allowed per game at rank 14 there. So the points per game stat just kind of comes out and jets out at me there just because the Chargers are very good in the red zone. They're very good at not letting teams score there. I know I said this a few weeks ago, and Fish really liked the term there, that bend but don't break defense. And, I really think that with the way Justin Herbert's been playing lately, with the way Ladd McConkey and Quentin Johnston have been catching the ball, now they are out J.K. Dobbins, unfortunately, but Gus Edwards is still pretty good, and he's very fresh this time of year. I mean, he's not had many carries, so he could come in, provide a little bit of a spark for them. And lastly, we have, is it Vidal? Is that their other running back?
Yes.
He's a rookie this year. He kind of reminds me of an Austin Eckler type of player. So going to be interesting to see him get included into that offense as well. But I think this is going to be a really, really good game for Sunday Night Football. And I think the Chargers are going to come out and get this done.
God, I hope so. I just want Kansas City. They should have lost against the Raiders. I won't get into that. Jerry Jeudy revenge game.
Yeah, he just caught a bomb, dude.
Like I said, there's the Browns are playing good football.
Browns have a puncher's chance. Put it that way.
But no, that's a good pick. That's a good Sunday night game. Yes, I love Harbaugh, obviously, Michigan man. But that team's they're playing good football. And the Chiefs aren't. The Chiefs, I don't know how they are. Also 11-1. There's a lot of games. Should have lost against the Broncos. Should have lost against the Raiders. Lost against the Bills, and I think they're going to catch their second loss on Sunday.
There too, and you mentioned they should have lost against the Raiders. They should have lost against the Broncos. Those are both also AFC West teams. So, these teams know each other. They know each other well, and they're going to come out firing, and they're going to play. I mean, the Chargers have playoff implications on the line here. They're not going to win their division. I don't think the Chiefs are going to lose. What is it? 5 weeks in a row, 4 weeks in a row. So,
I mean, we could hope that they would.
Even then, what's the Chargers' record? I don't know. Did Kansas City clinch last week?
They might have. I don't know.
Anyways, we digress.
But they are 7-5 because I know they lost to the Ravens.
Yeah,
and then they beat
they're
second.
Yeah, they're second in the division.
Yeah, they're 8-4.
Right, but Harbaugh gets the most out of his players. I mean, he started calling Justin Herbert Beast Herbert, so it's going to be interesting to see how well Beast Herbert plays this week coming up. I'm excited for it.
Ooh. Yeah, like Beast Gohan.
Beast Gohan, dude. Maybe he's just a huge anime
Great
fan.
transportation.
Yeah, maybe, actual.
It'd be pretty cool. Beast Titan.
Jamal Williams was.
True.
He still is.
True.
And it's awesome. I miss I miss him. Just one
Sure.
quick thing before we get into the draft. I just have a question for you guys. So we've talked a lot about it this show, and now that it's December and we're seeing the temperatures go down, and we've got these these teams that normally play in these warmer climates, like your Los Angeles, your Miami's, the Texans, the playing a dome, or these dome teams too. The conditions are more and more of a factor. How do you think these teams find a way to prepare for that, like during the week? I mean, I don't know how you prepare for a snow game in Buffalo, but
I don't know unless you travel to that. If you travel to that area prior and you practice throughout the week, but even then, I don't know. I don't see how a team like Miami goes to Chicago and play or Buffalo and plays in a foot of snow and be okay. I mean,
we saw it with the 49ers, and San Francisco's in Northern California, so they do see some snow, but I mean nowhere near the amount.
Not that lake effect snow that Buffalo, Cleveland, all those guys get.
I don't know. I don't know if there's any preparing for it, but then it is the very top percentage of athletes in that sport are playing. So you figure they could play anything. They could do whatever they can do to win. So I don't know. We saw it with San Fran. It could have been a whoopsie week. It could have been snow and weather was an actual factor. So, I mean, we'll have to keep an eye out for a lot of these snow games and a lot of the weather that starts to get down to that, the low teens and seeing these guys play out there. And I mean, do they rely? I mean, we all saw Shady when he played. He had like 200-something yards on the ground during the Snow Bowl. Do they rely more on the ground game at this point instead of throwing it through the air? And, the ball's colder, a little bit heavier. That spiral's not as tight anymore. Yep. So I don't know. That's a good question, though. We'll definitely have to maybe do a poll or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Do you remember this? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I know I've heard of teams in the past, like if they're expecting a very cold, maybe snow-filled game, then they will go to like some local high school up there and practice on their field, or college rather, and they'll practice there. But I don't know. I don't know how else you would simulate that other than just being in it.
Everybody plays in a giant walk-in freezer.
Just crank the AC down in the practice facility as low as it'll go.
They were talking on the Browns game before he got on, Fish. The Browns facility actually built a room to simulate the thin air in Denver.
Oh,
they
that's
built
cool.
like a cardio room and everything. I'm not sure how it worked, but
sounds like a waste of money, but I get that.
Hey, it's a 3-point game.
True. Maybe you got him ready.
It is.
So, yeah.
You're Judy.
Fish, do you remember the Snow Bowl against Detroit and Philly back in like 2014, 2013? And they just went for 2-point conversions. They didn't kick field goals or extra points.
Yeah, that's when Shady had like 200 on ground. Yeah, I mean that was a fun game to watch. That was
dude, the amazing. Megatron picture where he's just he snags that ball. He's just got the snow caked on his helmet and his face mask.
That's still a photo, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, Shady always just carried the ball like a loaf of bread. That's crazy to me.
You're really good at it. Really, really good at it.
All right, but let's get into our draft, our closing topic of the evening here. Our favorite musical artists. I'm going to go ahead and get our drum roll ready. And we have Fish first.
Yes, sir.
I am second, and Zoltowski, you're bringing up the rear.
Save the best for last. I get it.
That's debatable.
I am the youngest.
You don't look it though. So
no.
We're here. 1-1 pick. God, it might be a little biased, but I know, especially a nice fall day or cruising down the road in the summer with the windows down, I like to listen to a little Frank Sinatra. I might be a little biased there, but My Way and Send the Clowns. It just I don't know. It reminds me of a day and a time that I clearly wasn't alive for, but can only imagine going to a bar, and seeing him or watching him or listening to his music. I mean, nowadays people don't play, it's very rare to find any Italian place that plays a Frank Sinatra or like a Dean Martin or anything like that. So I know both my grandparents, they always talked about Frank Sinatra, listening to his music, especially in the army and everything too. So it definitely holds a special place to my heart. And I mean, his music is just something that we'll probably never hear again. Anyone remotely close to how he emphasizes every letter in every word that he sings. It's just phenomenal music that, a time and age that we'll never get back. So
Well, you got Michael Bublé.
he's close. I'm messing with Bublé a little bit. I mess with Bublé, but Frankie's the guy. So
That's a great pick. I enjoy some Sinatra
Big Frankie fan.
every now and
over
again. Makes me want to just grab a glass of wine and just hang out.
a big full length Pico, a stogie, and a glass of wine.
I'm in when where.
I got the full length Pico here. I'm ready,
here.
whatever.
I'll buy a Sinatra record. I'll bring the record player over. We'll do it old school.
Don't even bother because I got a record player with Frank Sinatra here, so we're good.
Perfect.
Just bring over a stogie. Actually, screw that. I got the stogies too. Just come over.
I'll bring the wine.
I got all that. I got a 7 and 7. You want 7 and 7s? That's fine. We got it here. So
I'll bring the transatlantic accent. Listen here, see?
So dumb.
All right, for my first pick. So my music choices are going to be probably pretty different from both Fish and Zoltowski here. But I'm going to go with one of my favorite, actually just my favorite band of all time. Zac Brown Band. They're my favorite band. I realize that makes me sound like a 60-year-old, but I don't care, dude. Zac Brown Band is great. Country, blues.
It's a great name.
Just great band, dude.
They do Chicken Fried, right?
Chicken
That's
Fried, Toes, Knee Deep.
That's
all
a good
that
song.
stuff. Great,
Yep.
great band. Homegrown.
Yeah, I like a few of their songs. Not a big country guy, but
Yeah, not a big country guy, but I trust you.
That's
trust you.
summertime jamming right there, dude.
This is what co-podcasters do. They trust each other. What they say,
oof.
Trust each other.
Russell Wilson has the locker room. Just
I've been saying it for weeks.
Never let it die. Ever.
He's got the locker room.
We'll run that one up, bro.
Zoltowski, what about you?
All right.
103.
All right. 103 and 201. All right. So for my first rounder though, I'm gonna go with that I constantly go back to is go with a little Eminem. His new album came out and I listened to it on repeat for hours. I mean, I even his album Revival that wasn't very good. There's still songs on there that I don't skip when they come on the playlist. I don't know what it is. I really enjoy his music, his story. Maybe it's a Detroit thing too. How involved he is in that city. The things he's gone through and where he is. And he still managed to get, those softer songs that really connect with you emotionally. Like, I don't know if you guys heard his Somebody Save Me off his new album. It's a great song with Jelly Roll.
Love Jelly Roll.
So, yeah, that's my 1-3. Great artist. And I mean, he's pretty well known.
Mm-hmm. Just a little bit.
It's just a little bit. 8 Mile's a good movie, too.
I've actually never
It's a
seen
great
it.
movie.
Oh, you should watch it. It's really
There's
good.
a good one.
It's a good one. That and Big Fish. So that's a fantastic movie.
Holy shit, Big Fish is a classic.
All right. So turn on the turn for me. So I'm gonna go with one. Another pretty common band. But different genre here. I'm gonna go with Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Red Hot Chili Peppers, man. Airplane. My buddy used one of their songs in their wedding, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it's a beautiful tune. They can go from that something you can use in a wedding to something jam out to. Mother's Milk's a great album. Stadium Arcadium's fantastic. The Getaway. That is an album I can listen to from start to finish and not skip a single song. And then their album with the white cover with the fly on the pill. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. Great album as well. But yeah, that's my second pick.
There's some solid picks there.
Very solid picks, Zoltowski. I like both of it. Well, I like Eminem more than Red Hot Chili Peppers, but still, both solid picks. All right, for my next pick, this is going to be a little bit different than the first one, and I might catch some flack for what he's recently put out, but talking more his old stuff, you can't go wrong with old Kanye. Going Kanye West without any of the baggage, without any of the drama, just college dropout, going old Kanye West here.
A lot of baggage.
Yeah, but I mean, I remember doing anything that involved skydiving in a video game, always putting on Power. Yeah. Because that song, yeah, Bound 2's good. He's got a couple. Graduation, that whole album's good.
All his earlier stuff, man.
College Dropout,
too good.
Yeah, his earlier stuff. You should just put early Kanye West on there. Just
put early in parentheses.
Early Kanye.
Mm-hmm. There you go. That looks good. That looks better. That's the Kanye I trust.
It's a Kanye we know.
All right, so I got my pick, and then a whip round here. I'm gonna go with a little tandem duo there with little Frankie, and then give me Deanie as well. I was actually listening to That's Amore over to work this morning, and just belting it. That whole Rat Pack of Sammy Davis Jr. and everything. If you really want to put yourself in a classic mood, in a classy establishment, I feel like those are the two guys, and Sammy Davis and the whole Rat Pack in general. Just throw that on, just kind of like, sit there and bob your head a little bit, little thumb snaps, and just kind of people watch. That's why I like to, especially in college when we had going from class to class, sitting in the cafe and just kind of jamming to that and just people watching. That was always a good time. I know we listened to it playing cards or, with my grandfather and stuff like that. I always had a lot of that stuff on. Up into the early nights, spent a lot of time with him playing cards and listening to Deanie and Frankie. So he'd always talk highly of both of them. So that was always a good one. That was a good little pick there. I like it. I'm going to go completely opposite here. I'm going to go with one of my personal favorite bands. I am in the alternative side. Most of my music, if it's not Frankie or Deanie, it's either metal, alternative. I'm going to go a little bit of Mayday Parade. Saw them in concert at Warped Tour eons ago. Nothing like 130 degrees on black pavement with every other person that looks exactly the same. Same Mayday Parade t-shirt, skin tight jeans, and then Where Are You hairstyles. And then listening to them live was absolutely incredible.
Where are you?
I'm so sorry. So that was a good time. That's one of my all-time favorite bands. I still listen to all their old stuff. It's that emo music that kind of got everybody going. So big shout out to them. That's my music. I like that Mayday Parade stuff. So
love the emo music. I'm all here for it.
I'm loving it.
I like when we get
out on the emo music.
I love things. You just don't like it.
I love when we get the karaoke going in the Discord.
Yeah, it's you, me,
It's a great time.
Yep.
You know what the best part about it is? None of you were in sync.
It's fine. We're having a great time, and that's what
30
matters.
30 seconds later, because he's in Oklahoma, the rest of you guys are starting like 3 seconds apart. It's a great time.
You'll be all right. Build team chemistry,
Why don't you make your pick?
Yeah, why don't you make your horrible pick?
If he says Johnny Cash, though, it's actually a really good pick.
Yeah, maybe. I'll give you that.
It would be a good pick, but that's not going to be my pick.
Oh,
That's gonna be a horrible pick.
I don't want to be too recency biased, but I think I'm going to be recency biased.
Don't say Taylor Swift.
I'm not
unfriending you.
saying Taylor. I think I'm going to go with Jelly Roll. I know we just talked about him, but I always find myself putting his stuff on in the car, and he's just an enjoyable person to listen to. Even his depressing songs. I mean, some of them are very depressing, and
you'd like emo music.
Yeah, you would love emo. I'll send you a couple songs. How about that?
I'll also find a couple songs.
All right, but
Fish, I think we're gonna send him 6 hours of music
none
combined.
of that whiny shit.
I'm definitely throwing some Screamo for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh, last two picks.
Actually, Alexander, man.
So, a third rounder for me. I'm also sticking with the emo kids here.
Yay!
Actually, already been quoted in this draft. It's Blink-182.
Whoa, where are you?
Where are you? And I'm so sorry. No, just so many good songs, so many good albums. Even their newer stuff, I can get with, especially now that Mark's back. It's Mark Tom and Travis show is probably my favorite live album ever. When they went and did Enema live, all the jokes that they have that are on the recording in between their shows, I want to go see them live. I've seen clips. They're just a fun band. They're just guys out there having fun. But I mean, I could list so many songs, and that Fish would probably be like, "Yep," every time.
Yeah, I'm absolutely right there with you. For sure.
Having a good time.
So, for my last pick, this one's going to be, you guys probably don't know this one. Fish, you might. I talked about him earlier. You give him a listen, you'll probably like him, but I'm going to go with Periphery. They are in a genre called Gent, DJENT, where they use not only there's their whole album Periphery 3 Select Difficulty is there's a lot of orchestra used in the background of those songs. Just the melodies, the guitars are so talented. Misha Mansour, actually, he's one of the guitarists. He did some guitar work for the Halo 2 remaster soundtrack. So give him a listen, Fish. I think you'll really like him. Good friend of mine showed me him. Well, I've seen him in concert. They were fantastic. I bought like 3 albums when I went there that night because none of the T-shirts or merch fit me. But now I have those CDs, and I'm like, I got those at the Periphery concert up at the St. Andrews Hall in Detroit. Pretty famous venue too. So, but that's my last pick.
That's a good pick. I'll have to take a listen for sure.
I'll send you a couple songs.
Yeah, send it.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna work on it right now.
Spell it right in the doc, Zoltowski.
Yes, awesome. You did.
I'm so good.
Proud of you.
Wow. Spelling Bee champ.
Spelling Bee champ, dude. Just sound it out. All right, for my last pick, I'm going to take Thick of It by KSI. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, my God. Get him out. Get him out.
I've been going through a few different artists in my head.
It's wild.
I'll mention some honorable mentions after this, but I'd be remiss if I didn't take the old classic hip-hop. I'm going to go ahead and take A Tribe Called Quest.
Wow.
That's a good one. Can I kick it? Yes,
I love
Can
the older hip hop where they rap on the beat. It's not like the mumble rap that you have nowadays.
It is rough.
It's just so much more enjoyable, so much more well thought out back then. I know I may sound like an old man, but yeah, Tribe Called Quest for sure. One of my favorite groups.
Let's go.
We keeping you up?
From mine? Oh, no, man. I'm just going through all these bands and everything. There's just so many on my iPhone. It's tough to pick. Really only 4 out of the thousands of people we listen to. But I'm going to round it out. I'm going to stay in the emo genre here. I've been listening to them for a while. Anytime their songs come on, I gotta like a 17-year-old in a car has got to scream and belt it out loud as well. I'm gonna go Sleeping with Sirens. Kellen Quinn has an incredible voice. He's one of the ones that I hope one day can see live whenever they come back this way. Less Cheers of This, and then if you were a movie, This Is You. The EP album is absolutely incredible. He redid Iris, which is his vocals on that is superb too. So going in tandem with Mayday Parade and then following into one of their songs is it definitely puts me in a better mood, and it's that higher pitched. He can hit those high notes, and it's got a little bit of screamo in it, but a little bit lyrical as well. So it's very good. I love it. I listen to all their stuff. I'm sure I've lost a few people on that one. Mayday Parade is a little bit more mainstream, but Sleeping with Sirens is kind of a little out there. Same thing with Asking Alexandria, but completely different genres. So, but yeah.
If I'm James Dean, you're Audrey Hepburn. Banger.
Oh God, have you listened to the EP of it?
No, I need to. I need to. They come on my because what I'll do is I'll pick a song from a genre I want to listen to, and I'll play that song. And I use Apple Music, so it does the autoplay. Yeah. So it'll just play. Do you use Apple Music?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, that makes it so much easier for me to send you stuff. Perfect.
Yeah, send it away. Send it with Noah. No, Noah uses. What's the
He'll have Spotify. He'll have the names. He'll be fine. But no, great picks. Good draft, honestly. I know we were a little bit skeptical. At first, but I think it went well.
Yeah, I think so too.
I like it.
You guys have any honorable mentions?
I do.
So many.
There's a lot. There's a lot, but I want to give on the rap side of things, up and comer. Well, not up and comer anymore, but futuristic. He was a little dude.
Yeah.
Up and coming guy back in the day, has kind of made himself a lot more known. But Devon Terrell, the album that they did together, his lyrics on point. I mean, he raps about Dragon Ball Z and Charizard, and just how he intertwines a lot of different things is very, very. I think he's incredibly talented. I mean, he got his little jump start on YouTube about the. Do you think I could rap? And he dresses as a nerd and absolutely destroys it with The Greatest, which is a fantastic song. So I think he was definitely up on my list too. I know he hasn't really released that many songs as like Kanye or Drake or Jay-Z or something like that, but the way he raps, he's on point, he's quick, he knows when to slow it down, he's got little lyrics in them, but it's just funny how he could talk about Charizard and then something else he's talking about shoes and all this other shit. So it kind of taps into the inner nerd for a lot of us too.
Yeah.
So
Futuristic's a great pick. I was going to mention.
Surprised you didn't say.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, surprised you didn't say Froggy Fresh. Why is James crying?
Oh God.
He's still, he's still making music
on YouTube. Yeah.
Yep.
Or TikTok.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him. Go ahead with your honorable mentions, Nut, and then I've got a couple I'll rapid fire off.
Say like the obvious, like Drake and all those guys.
Oh, of course you like Drake.
Kendrick. Sorry. Did you want me to also say Kendrick?
Oh, I'm glad none of us really mentioned like a Kanye
there.
or something like that.
I mean, I did say Eminem on my first.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's fine. No, Drake's older stuff's not bad.
Drake's older stuff is really good.
Remember when he did Charged Up and Back to Back, the diss tracks? I remember listening to those when they came out like on repeat because Back to Back was a banger.
Yeah, I like Drake. I like a couple of gospel rappers as well. Andy Mineo, Lecrae. They're more niche, but they're both very, very good. So
I've heard of Lecrae. Andrew, not your guys' Andrew. My Andrew. He went and saw him in concert. He really likes him. I've been meaning to check him out.
He's one of the more gospel rappers that's broken out more into like mainstream. I think he signed with Kanye's label for a little bit. But yeah, he's very good, and Andy Mineo is very good as well. So
yeah, So I've got a couple here, rapid fire. System of a Down, Slipknot, Metallica, the classic Metallica. Some of their new stuff's not too bad. I remember when Death Magnetic came out, I listened to that. I actually really like that album. Avenged Sevenfold, and Rage Against the Machine. So
nice.
All great bands right there. I don't know. I love music. I listen to, I think I checked, because Apple Music does the replay where you can look at every month. I think I had like a couple months at 14,000 minutes of music listened to. So
it's a lot of minutes, dude.
It's fine. I guess it just, it's good.
You probably listen to it at work.
Always sing along.
Don't you?
No.
Oh, okay.
They have a radio on at work, but we are not allowed to have headphones in for safety reasons.
I guess that makes sense.
But they'll play everything. Like I've heard Frank Sinatra, I've heard Drake, I've heard, Blues Traveler, that's another good band. But I could go on and on. I love music.
I'm out on music. Oh, that's a show.
Yay, show.
You guys have anything else to say before we get out of here?
No.
Another good show.
Go on.
Go Browns.
Yeah, hopefully the Browns pull this one out, and yes,
we've got plenty of time.
Maybe we'll go on a little streaky poo and make playoffs. Highly doubtful. A lot of good teams in the AFC this year.
Yeah, you never know.
All right. Well, I don't have anything else, so I guess I'll always say GG. Thanks for being a gent. See you guys next time.
See ya.
See you next week.